Okay. Yeah. Sure. I'll open up the slide as well so that it's a little better to see. Okay, so some of the formulas. There's more on the bottom, so that's why I'm like doing first half. Slope formula. Remember, for slope we use lowercase m, and then it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Midpoint formula, which is capital M, and then it's the average of the two endpoints, basically. And then for the distance, another word for distance is length. You have d equal the difference of the x value squared plus the difference of the y value squared. Looking at these ones first, these three right here, it doesn't matter which point you call x1, which point you call x2. What matters is the order. So if you call this point your first point, then make sure it's x1, y1. If you call this point your second point, then this is your x2, y2. A lot of people make the mistake of calling it x1, y2. All right, and then that would change up the whole formula. So make sure you have these three formulas, memorize it, write it down like a couple of times so that you have it correct. All right. The other formula you have to know is the circle formula. So there's two circle formulas. Technically, do we need to memorize this one? Oh, hi. Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Technically, do we need to memorize this one, the circle formula, when it's at the 0, 0? Technically, we don't need to, because if it's at 0, 0, when you do x minus 0, that's just x. When you use up in y minus 0, that's just y. So then you get the same thing. Okay. So this formula, x squared plus y squared equals r squared, this is the formula for when your circle is at center 0, 0. What if it's not at center 0, 0? It's at center hk, then this is your formula. Okay, and it's in the brackets. Okay, so in terms of formula, those are the 5 that you need to know. Okay, their test is going to ask you, find the equation of a median. Right? Median, remember, is the midpoint to a corner. Okay, the midpoint to a vertex. Oops, sorry. Let me mute that. All right, and the other one, right bisector. Right bisector is the midpoint, but not to the vertex, but at a 90-degree angle. All right, so in terms of the slopes, what can you say about the slopes of these two lines? What can you say about the slopes of these two lines? Yep. But the slope, in terms of slopes, yep. Negative reciprocal. So keep that in mind. Notice I drew some like red dots right here. I do want to point out this. What can you say about, like, if I choose any point on my right bisector, what can you say about the distance to each of the endpoints? Jay? They're equal. So if I choose this point on my right bisector, it's equal distance to both endpoints. So no matter where I draw my point on the right bisector, it's actually equal distance to both. Okay, so that's one of the properties of right bisector. Okay. Pythagorean theorem, you guys know this. I just thought to write this down in case it shows up. All right, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And then in a circle, the full length is called diameter. Half the length is called your radius. And the connection between them is d equals twice the length of a radius. Okay, so diameter is twice your radius. I want to point out one more term. So Anyone know what this line is called? Yep. Chord, that's right. Okay, so what a chord is just any 2 points on your circumference, on your circle. So any 2 points on the circle, that's called a chord. Okay. So I think that's all the formulas and definitions you need to know for tomorrow. So tomorrow's test, you'll see 2 parts. First part is 20 multiple choice questions on the computer, and it's just gonna ask you some basic questions about like formulas, definitions, simple quick calculation things, like for example, given 2 endpoints, what is my midpoint, so forth. So these short questions, that's gonna be so there's just 20 multiple choice questions for part 1, and then part 2 is where I'll give you a couple of questions asking you to find the equation of median, equation of right bisector, equation of a circle, and so forth. Those kind of questions. Okay, so where you have to show a little bit more work. Okay, and I'm not gonna ask you like 10,000 questions of finding equation of a median or right bisector, because if you know how to do it 1 time, I think you know how to do it 2 times. So I'm just gonna ask, if anything, maximum 1 of each. Then that's it for part 2. Okay. Any question on these formulas? How to apply them? Okay, so try to memorize these, remember these, so that you don't make it your own formula. Okay. And okay, any questions so far? Any questions? Good. Okay. So today is the review class. What we're going to work on is right here, content, chapter 2. That's what we're on. Yes, we are on chapter 2. And then this chapter 2 review right here. So if you can do these questions on this chapter 2 review package, you should be ready for the test tomorrow. Okay, answers are provided at the bottom of page 4. If you're done all these and you want a challenge, only if you want a challenge, you can try this chapter 2 review too. Okay, this leads us into the next chapter. Leads us into chapter 3. So, but you won't see questions as hard as this one on the test tomorrow. Okay, but so if you feel like you got everything and you want to challenge yourself, then you can try this. Otherwise, I don't want to overwhelm you guys with this. Okay, so let's get working on this chapter 2 review, and towards the end of class we can take up some of these. All right.